Make sure your project directory is set to a folder called Dynamics. We'll click OK. We've used a lot of different ways of making soft body dynamics into cloth and wrinkles. But what about doing something that requires some volume and some internal structure, such as, say, a tail or an ear? Well, we've done that with motion dynamics, but we had the ability to create springs. Well, how come we can't create springs in soft body dynamics? Well, you can. You do it inside the modeler. Every polygon edge you create turns into a spring. So we're going to create some structural geometry for soft body dynamics. We're going to use a different modeler this time. I'm going to create this inside Lightwave. This Lightwave allows me to create internal geometry and Wings does not. This is just version 7.5. I'm going to start clicking into the Create tab and going to Cone. Switch to a front view and middle mouse click and select the cone. So we bring up our numeric cone tool. Let's have our side set to 6 and our segments to 5. We bring this up. You see 5 segments already. I'm going to set this to be a bit smaller and make sure your X, Y, and Z sizes here. It'll tell you how big your cone's going to be. Otherwise it's going to be gigantic if you're not keeping track of your scale. Seems pretty good. I'll tap the Enter key to turn that into polygons. And then we're in the polygons mode, so I'm going to right mouse click and draw a marquee around all of the faces and use the right bracket to grow the selection to the end. From here, go to Detail. I'm going to surface that with a surface called D Default. Just the same as Messiah when we first set up Soft Body Dynamics. Use a / key to deselect that. Marquee select the back face. Click on Surface. I'm going to name this one Hold. This will be our anchor point for our Soft Body Dynamics. Let's go to File. We're going to save this object. I have one already in here. I'll just save right over the top of it. Go back into Messiah Studio and load our object. So we have a pretty good looking cone here. Change this to smoothen edges so we can see our polygon. From here, just do a textbook Soft Body Dynamics. Select Soft Body, plus key, add that to the cone. We already have our soft mapping set up because we named the main surface D Default. We head back into Animate and press play. See, the thing just falls and it's trying to recover. We'll just set the out frames to 120. You can see it falling and clipping and rolling over itself. Now, cones are interesting structures. They're pretty good at supporting their own weight when it comes to running these simulations. But we need to add more geometry inside of this that will behave as springs as well. It will push the object out, will make it a lot stiffer, and give it a different property. Head back into Lightwave. Use the / key to deselect everything, and head into Points mode. First thing we need to do is we need to set up some internal geometry. From here we just have a regular hollow cone with, of course, an end-sided polygon for one edge. We need to create some internal geometry so we have some polygon edges that will behave as springs. We'll start this from the top here. We just left mouse, or if you let go, you can middle mouse click and select 4 faces. And from here the shortcut key is P to create a polygon. You can see it'll generate a set of lines in between. So we're just going to work down the row here using the middle mouse to select our polygons all the way to the tip of the tail. Now that's one axis. We can do that for another set. Just draw a set of polygons here and work our way down. And make sure to draw your polygons in the order of a clockwise or counterclockwise. You can't just select them crossways. It will create a folded polygon. Let's start with the top. Select the top faces. And if you see one that's out of order, just middle mouse click and deselect it. P to create a polygon. Now this is almost as much work as the motion dynamics. But you're inside Modeler, so you have access to all sorts of modeling tools. And I'm sure there's one for creating internal geometry as well. And create polygons. So now I have a set of internal polygons here that are going to push and pull around. And we can go ahead and create different ones that spiral around and all sorts of fun stuff. Let's just see what we have here. When we switch back into polygons mode, you see we've created a bunch of new faces. So click on, while we're in Detail tab, click on Surface and select Default from the pull down and just click OK to add those to our surface. And go to File and just save this object, which will save over itself. Go back into Messiah, highlight the cone, File tab, Multiply Items, Replace. Go back into Setup now, and outside into Animate and press play again. See, now it has internal geometry that's pushing against itself. So you can grab the cone and move it up, and it holds its own shape. It's pretty jello-y right now, but that's okay, because now we can use all of the other object attributes inside SoftBodyDynamics, like the fluid density and the damping and the global weight, to change that. Change the gravity scale, make sure our stretch corrections are set to lower, and subsamples, we're going to sample these 5 more times, which most of the time you'll see it vibrate faster. That's how subsampling goes. Our gravity scale is half. Let's set our damping to 5. And from here we can check the other options. Stretch, shear, and flex. Now we have our length, our edge length, which is now applying to the internal geometry as well. So we can make this looser by setting the edge lengths, say 1.5 for the max stretch. And it will want to fall even more. And we can set the compression to 0.5. So we'll have a really loose mesh. We can drag the gravity scale back up and you can watch it. Let's turn our damping off and see how it stretches a lot more. So there's all sorts of stuff you can do with internal geometry, provided you have enough time to create some. Now this is going to present some rendering artifacts because they are actual faces that render. I can't turn this into a MetaNerbs object because we have faces that are going in, and it will crease around everywhere we have a polygon. So this is best used as a Puppet Master section because it still has the same point count as the original section, and we can create faces that behave as springs. There's another variation of this that will allow you to use internal geometry that have springs radiating out from it and use the internal geometry to control it, so this will behave like a skin that vibrates on top of the animation. Let's go to File. We're going to save this scene as into the Scenes folder, SoftBodyDynamics 5.